Hello everyone, Jonathan, creator of Panzer Attack here with the first in a series of how to play videos for the game that are intended to get you familiar with all the key gameplay concepts, setup of both scenarios and pickup games, flow of a game turn, and combat mechanics. In this first video, we'll take a look at how a typical game setup for a scenario looks and discuss all the elements of the play area. For this example setup, let's assume that the game is already underway, so our primary purpose here will be to identify all the major elements of a typical Panzer Attack game. First, let's take a look at the territory cards here in the center of the play area. The territory cards have been laid out in a linear fashion, and we can see that possession is clearly established for the German and Soviet players. The front line, a key concept of Panzer Attack, can be found between the two territories, marking a difference of possession here. We'll talk about the front line rule in detail in a later video. In Panzer Attack, one of the main game objectives, along with destroying all their combat forces in play, is to capture the other player's territories by placing friendly ground, troop, or unit cards in a territory currently under the enemy player's control, and then eliminating any enemy ground units there. Immediately above and below this line of territory cards are the air and ground card lanes for each player, where each player's air and ground troop or unit cards are placed. Closest to the territory cards on each side are the Soviet and German air lanes here. This would be the German air lane, with the Soviet air lane being right here. Below these air lanes are the ground lanes located here. In our example setup, you can see how the air and ground unit cards of each player are placed. As an example, we see a German stack of air cards here, with ground cards below it, and facing the Soviet player are air cards here, with ground stacks located in these three territories. These gameplay elements, the territory cards, the air lanes, and the ground lanes, effectively form the gameplay area, or the equivalent of a game board. To the left of this area, each player has their draw decks and their discard piles. Once a player exhausts all the cards in their draw deck, they would shuffle their discard pile to form a new draw deck. That is, unless specific scenario or agreed upon rules during a pickup game prevent this. Between the draw decks is a printed game reference sheet, which is included with each game, and it's recommended you keep this handy until you get used to the flow of the game turn, and the CRT included here is a great quick reference for combat calculations. To the right side of the gameplay area, we see two piles of 7 cards each, representing each player's hand, which each player is normally holding, of course. The typical hand size in Panzer Attack is 7 cards, but some card effects or rules may change this from game to game or during the course of a game. Lastly, we see a leader card face up and to the right of the German player's hand cards, which indicates a leader card actively in play. Any action or leader cards with persistent effects that last a turn or more can be placed in this area off to the right, while in this case the German player's right or the Soviet player's left, and then moved to the discard pile when they are no longer in play. Alternatively, to avoid confusion if a leader card's effects are tied to a specific troop or unit card in play, the leader can be added to the stack on top of the card they are tied to. In this example, we can take Hans Ulrich Rudel, and if he's tied to this Stuka bomber card, we can place him on top, and then he'll go within the stack such as that. That's our quick tour of the Panzer Attack game setup, and in the next video we'll start to get a look into more detailed game mechanics, such as the game turn and combat. So if you like this video or have questions or comments, let me know in the comments section below, and otherwise we'll see you with the next video. Thanks everyone.